Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, sorry.
Oh Polly, it's for your sake alone. I left my dear old father, my country and my home. I left my dear old mother to weep and to mourn. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home. It's grape shot and musket and the cannon lumber loud. There's many a mangled body, the blanket for their shroud. There's many a mangled body left on the fields alone. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home.
Okay, I'm your host, James White, and this is Critical Disclosure Radio. We are working on some technical difficulties right now and getting those worked out. We appreciate you joining us here today on the broadcast. Let me make sure that we're going live everywhere. Let me connect this here with YouTube. Give me a quick second here, and we'll be all set up, ready to go. We can probably bring all of our guests on here, and I'm gonna pull them over here, and we'll be ready to go here in just a minute. There we go. We're missing Kelly. Has not shown up yet here for the show, and I assume she's going to be here. Is that the door I just heard close there? She may be here now. Let me get this all set up here. Again, we're just having some technical difficulties right before the show started, but I think we've got them worked out now. Appreciate you joining us here on Critical Disclosure. I'm your host, James White, and of course you can see there I'm with Jason Q and Dave vonKleist. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here today on the program. It's good for us all to be together again, doing another show.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Jim. Good to be here. Hey, Jason. How you doing?
Okay.
Go on, Dave.
All right, folks. Fellas, we've got a lot going on here. We certainly do appreciate people looking in here. It is the 16th day of January 2021. And we have, first of all, I want to get everybody's comments. I'll go around the room here first. We'll start off with the whole declassification rumor that's coming around. I shouldn't say it's a rumor. As far as I know, the documents are being declassified. Do you think? I'm thinking that this may be what we've been waiting for quite some time. And I know, Jason, you're the document guy. I know that you've got voluminous amount of documents. I'm thinking that the 25,000 troops going into 25,000 troops in Washington or so, and then coinciding right along with the time that they're releasing these documents, and then Joe Biden has canceled his Sunday Zoom walkthrough rehearsal because of security concerns with 25,000 people there at the Capitol. Jason, I think that we may be seeing, we're counting down to the final act as I put the title on the show. That's what I'm thinking right now. Jason, what say you?
I believe we're getting ready to watch one of the greatest movie/cartoon endings we've ever envisioned. So it's going to be one for the ages. Definitely tell you that much.
I think the whole world is on the edge of their seats right now, and for good reason, because everybody knows that the United States has been the power of the entire Western economy. The United States dollar has been the reserve currency for God knows how long now, and how the U.S. goes is how the entire world is going to go. And what's happened in the past couple of years with so many people waking up, and I know that's almost like a cliche. And people say that they're woke. Okay, well, there's different levels of being quote unquote woke, but I think those levels have been heightened or accelerated over the past couple of years with all the revelations about how much corruption has been going on, the corporate Borg takeover that started after JFK's assassination, and especially the revelations and the exposure of the international pedophile sex trafficking rings. And it's not just about, trafficking people. I mean, we're talking children. We're talking about children that are being bred without birth certificates, specifically for sex and for rituals. And this is real. This is very real. And it's become common practice all over the world. And this is going to be the downfall of the deep state. I hope, I pray. Because if we don't win this battle, I mean, this is good versus evil. That's what it comes down to. It's not about Trump or Biden. No. It's about the deep state, the evil that has consumed the entire Democratic Party and most of the Republican Party. And either we overcome this, and the world is watching. Either we overcome this or we succumb to it, and it becomes. It's already institutionalized and it's industrialized, and it will be carried on and continued. And it's not acceptable for me.
Well, before we go any further, can someone give me a heads up here in the chat room? Are we 5 by 5? Can you hear all three of us? As I said, we were just literally scrambling to fix some technical issues right towards the countdown for the show.
We got it fixed, though. And by the way, I just got a text from Kelly. Unfortunately, she can't make it. She's tied up with a family issue right now.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll keep the seat warm for Kelly for next time that she wants to come back on here. And we had some really good response from the videos, people that watch the videos. We had I don't have time to. There's hundreds and hundreds of comments. I mean, on all platforms, I don't even have close to the time to go through them all. But I know we got seemingly the comments that I did see were positive. We got a lot of views of those videos. Thanks so much, everybody, for letting me know about the sound. And that's really what it's all about. This isn't a monetary thing. Although we may have sponsors. I do, but I don't know if you guys do. But I mean, obviously, it's not. It's a fraction of what it takes to really run something, because the problem is we don't have the military-industrial complex. We don't have the George Soros money, and what we hear now is this person that went into the White House came out and admitted that they were Antifa, and I want to say that they had the money traced back to Soros. Does that surprise you guys that Soros is behind this? I mean, we knew that all along. Oh. Yeah, I know.
Oh, no, not again.
Shocking. Oh. Yeah. Jason, you're the document guy. How many documents do you have, man, that trace things back to Soros? I mean, more than you can count?
A lot. His name comes up quite a bit. But there's a lot that comes up. It's when people realize the end game and what actually the depth of what is actually going on here, and also historically, everything comes full circle. History does repeat itself, and you'll hear some of the same names you heard in history class because it's all coming back right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you had a chance to review any of the documents yet, Jason? I know there was some declassified stuff, and I've been really doing other things, busy doing other things, radio stuff the last couple days. Are you privy, either one of you guys, privy to any of the documents? I know they dropped. Trump apparently declassified some stuff and released it, but everything's been shut off. Like Parler's been taken out. Gab is very clunky. It's because there's a lot of people going there.
Yeah.
And there's really it's hard to find information about what's going on right now by design. Do you guys have any insight on what exactly the details on these latest drops from President Trump?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. There was a big declass that dropped was it yesterday, and it was like a bunch of entries. I printed a bunch of it. Well, not a bunch of it. There was one of the subtitles, and it had to do with the voting and everything. So I printed some of that up, and we could go over that because I have it over here stacked up. I mean, as much as we were printing yesterday and last night, it got out of hand. So, because I want to try to get offline as quickly as possible, because you never know when they're going to shut it off. So, I keep it humming, So, yeah, there's quite a bit, and we have some we have some on the whole Insurrection Act, and I think we found the loophole with that, and how that's going to go forward. It's actually pretty
Go and
slick.
clue us in on that, man, because I haven't, like I
All right.
said, I've been tied up. I haven't had a chance to look into it deeply.
So, a long time, I mean, a while ago when they mentioned the Posse Comitatus, we started, printing everything up and, bringing everything to light, going over everything, highlighting everything. Well, it just so happens that under the Posse Comitatus Act, there were a couple exceptions to it. One of them was the Border Integrity Act, and what it did was it would have created an exception to allow direct military enforcement to cut laws in the border areas. But here's the golden goose, I believe, the Comprehensive Anti-Terrorism Act. Now, first off, ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4. CAA. So that would be our first marker, correct? Because 11.3, you mirror it. What this would have done was it would have allowed military involvement in investigations of chemical and biological weapons. So when you think of the chemical and biological weapons being dispersed within the United States, could this be Operation Warp Speed? Because what you've effectively done is you've let Big Pharma come in, because in the documents that we have, there's 5 countries that cannot accept any vaccines. We can't ship them any vaccines. Like Iran, Sudan, countries like that.
Aren't they lucky?
Yeah, that's the reason, because they're actually on the terrorism list, the terror list. So if we can't give them vaccines because they can actually use that as a bioweapon against us, that should make everybody just, like, their ears perk up a little bit. Think, well, if they could use it as bioweapon against us, if it's the same vaccine, then it's a bioweapon against we the people. It's as simple as that.
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up, Jason.
It is funny, isn't it, Dave, with what we brought up?
I couldn't have set this up better. You didn't even know. You just stepped on it.
That's right.
I mentioned it to you the other day. For those people who recall 25 years ago, and I was with Joyce, and Joyce and I were the American Gulf War Veterans Association. We were printing out, we were going to the law libraries, and we were printing out document after document after document. So we would have hard copy, because we didn't have, the internet was around, but people just weren't on it that much back in '95. But the reason I'm thrilled that you brought that up, Jim, if you could bring up on the screen that page, and I will tell you folks where you can go. If you go to gulfwarvets.com, that's the website that Joyce and I had. It was put up by Gary and Wanda Robinson. If you guys are out there, God bless you. Haven't heard from you in a while. But if you go to the gulfwarvets.com website and then click on the button that says Documents, and then look for Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1520. Now, it's on my screen here, but Jim, you've got the bigger screen. Why don't you share what it says and read it slowly and carefully, because this is really important. You want to know why they get away with using us as guinea pigs? It's codified into law that they can do this. So if you would, Jim, why don't you read that first line? It says...
Prohibited Act. So this is the Section 1520A, restrictions on use of human subjects for testing of chemical or biological agents.
Right. Now, it says on the very top, prohibited activities, right?
Subsection A, prohibited activities, yes.
Right.
So that says the Secretary of Defense may not conduct, directly or by contract, 1, any test or experiment involving the use of a chemical agent or biological agent on a civilian population, or, subset 2, any other testing of a chemical agent or biological agent on human subjects.
Okay, so in review, it is prohibited for them to use the civilian population for testing of chemical and biological agents. That's prohibited, right? That's what it says.
That's what it says.
Now, the next paragraph is exceptions. Please share that with the listeners slowly. Let it sink in, folks.
So, subject to subsection C, D, and E of this section, the prohibition in subsection A of this section does not apply to a test or experiment carried out for any of the following purposes. Subsection 1, any peaceful purpose that is related to a medical, therapeutic, pharmaceutical, agricultural, industrial, or research activity. Number 2.
Okay, wait, stop.
Yes,
Stop right there.
Okay.
Basically, it says the exception to the rule is any of those things that you just mentioned. In other words, it's illegal for us to do it except when the sun comes up. I mean, it's basically we'll do it anytime. What's the next section? B.
So section 2 is any purpose that is directly related to protection against toxic chemicals or biological weapons and agents.
Right.
Then number 3 is the catch-all. Any law enforcement purpose, including any purpose related to riot control.
Bam.
Any law enforcement purpose. That's pretty broad.
Absolutely.
It's pretty broad and sweeping.
Now, how do you suppose this thing about riot control will be kicked in? So if there are riots, it's codified into the law. They can use chemical or biological agents. Period. Now, you wonder why they get away with using the American people, and indeed people of the world, as guinea pigs. Now, these documents, again, this is really important. You might want to save that. Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1520. This codifies into law the use of the civilian population as guinea pigs for any reason that they see fit. Now, I want to share with you, let's get historical here, because if you forget your history, you're destined to repeat it, eh? So, here is the appropriations bill, Department of Defense appropriations for the year 1970. Okay, can you see that, everybody? You see that?
Yes.
That's coming through. It's not backwards or anything, right?
No, it's good.
Okay, fine. You look down here, and what does it say?
That's a bit harder to read.
Okay.
Chemical or biological warfare.
Right. Okay, so let me go to the page in question. Again, this is from the 1970. This is the appropriations bill. 1969 they were doing this. And I will share this on page 129, and I will read, and then I'll show it to you. It says, and I quote, within a period of 5 to 10 years, it would be possible to produce a synthetic biological agent, an agent that does not naturally exist, and for which no natural immunity could be acquired. Acquired immune. Let me go further down the page. Did you catch it? What the inference is on this? It says, and I quote, within the next 5 to 10 years, and again, this is 1969, within the next 5 or 10 years, it would be possible to make a new infective microorganism which could differ in certain important aspects from any known disease-causing organisms. Most important of these is that it might be refractory to the immunological and therapeutic processes upon which we depend to maintain our relative freedom from infectious disease. In other words, it would create a situation where your immune system wasn't functioning properly. They said up here, for which no natural immunity could be acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Now, they said this, they were going to appropriate this back in 1969. And it said, anyway, it was they said $5 million? I forget what it was. Anyway, excuse me, right here. A research program to explore the feasibility of this could be completed in approximately 5 years at a total cost of $10 million. So, they got the appropriation in 1969. It went into effect in 1970. And they said that they could do this for $10 million within about 5 to 10 years. Isn't it amazing that 5 years later, The World Health Organization started a worldwide smallpox vaccine program, and they kicked it off in Haiti, Africa, and San Francisco. Isn't it amazing that a couple years later, AIDS showed up in Haiti, Africa, and San Francisco? So the point is, folks, is that yes, there is a good possibility, or dare I say conspiracy theory, and I have a little thing to say about that as well. Yes, is it possible that the government created this disease? Well, let's just not go by that. Let me take a look at another document here. This one, I'm not going to get into it too deeply. Here it is. Human drug testing by the CIA. You ever hear of the date rape drug? This document, that's one of many different drugs that was created by the CIA and unleashed on an unwitting civilian population. Okay? And again, they can get away with this because of Title 50, Section 20, Chapter 32. And let's see, what's another one? Oh, okay, here we go. Here's another, excuse me, another congressional record. Look at the title of this one. Can you see that? Biological testing involving human subjects by the Department of Defense. They've been doing this to us for decades. Why do you think that the pharmaceutical companies have been indemnified and they are immune from any prosecution due to vaccine injuries or death? Okay? This stuff explains why, because they've been doing this for decades. Okay, here's another congressional record. Okay, and this is having to do with testing on your troops. Right here. Let's see. Is military research hazardous to veterans' health? Right there. And I will read to you the opening page. It's right here. And it says, during the last 50 years, hundreds of thousands of military personnel have been involved in human experimentation and other intentional exposures conducted by the Department of Defense, often without a service member's knowledge or consent. Now, is this conspiracy theory? Am I a conspiracy theorist because I'm sharing with you government documentations? Hey, fact checkers, sharpen your pencils. I got some news for you. And oh, yeah, I'm just getting started. Oh, and then here's the icing on the cake. And this is one of the reasons why Ted Gunderson and I became good friends. Oh, it's X-Files, right? Project MK Ultra, the CIA's program of research and behavioral modification.
No, you're right on with that, David. And I've talked about this show about what we're going through right now is basically trauma-based mind control.
Absolutely.
That's what it's MK Ultra stuff. Mm-hmm. Folks, you need to look that up. This is not a conspiracy theory.
Nope.
And MK Ultra has been reported on. You can see Dave's got the documents.
Yep.
But trauma-based mind control, which is what their specialty is, that's one of the things they're running on us right now. The whole threat of the disease, the threat of death, the threat of who knows what gets people all in a state of trauma, mm-hmm. and then they're susceptible to wear a mask and beat up their neighbor or whatever they do. They beat them up. But yeah, I guess people have been beat up for not wearing a mask. So
oh yeah,
it's sort of a delusion. Jason, do you agree with that concept? I know you're digging stuff, man.
Yeah, look at him go. He's a ferret over there.
Trauma-based mind control, is that something that you've done, that you looked into as well? Would you tend to agree with that?
I completely agree, 110%. And we actually know where MK Ultra originated and who actually passed on developing it further, and what actually walked away from it and created the antithesis for MK Ultra. It has been ridiculed ever since then. And he and his church has been ridiculed ever since because it's been infiltrated. So once it was infiltrated, it was pretty much made a mockery.
Dr. Ewan Cameron was one of the key players in that whole MK Ultra fiasco, I guess you could say, that organization, that experiment. And isn't it funny that he was the doctor that I believe was treating Tim McVeigh after the Oklahoma City bombing there, Ewan Cameron, which I think he's passed on since then. But there's no denying the fact that the MK Ultra program still is alive and well today.
You're talking about Dr. Robert Gallo?
Well, he may have been the precursor to Ewan Cameron. I think Ewan Cameron came on the scene afterwards.
Okay.
You're talking like late 60s, right? Is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, well, he stuck around. He was through the 70s, etc. He had his finger on a lot of these controversial issues.
And I know that the what's the name of that place out there in California? That institute out. I think Lawrence Livermore Labs has had is involved in that all in some manner. And I don't, but a lot of that stuff, of course, is kept classified. I think everything. I think we can get some stuff out, but I think majority of that work that's been done has been classified. It's starting to come out now. But I'm wondering if that type of stuff is going to be released. The Kennedy assassination, what really happened there, and all the other stuff that's been hidden. They're coming out with. Apparently, they're going to be dropping a whole bunch of stuff, extraterrestrial stuff, and all kinds of things. I mean, this could be the year of the reveal in 2021. I'm hoping, anyway.
Well, if they don't, we will. Simple as that. They left the internet open for certain people, so all we had to do is just collectively come together, and then they just let the floodgates open, and that's what we have here.
Well, let's talk, if we can, a little bit about some of the players that are involved, because there's been, people aren't sure really if these people are kind of trying to fool them, if these people are, psyoping on them. We'll throw out a couple of names here, and you guys give me, if you can, what your thoughts is on them. First of all, the guy that's been tearing things up for the last 10 days or so, or 2 weeks, is Lynn Wood.
Oh, yeah.
He has just been dropping some hellacious information up to and including that Epstein is still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, I don't, is anything possible these days? Yeah, it is. I mean, for crying out loud. The holograms and stuff that they're using these days, anybody can be alive, I think, these days, for, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking Lynn Wood. I don't know a lot about him. I'm thinking he's a good guy. You've got people like Patrick Byrne from the Overstock guy. He's pretty close to him. Of course, Flynn and Sidney Powell. I'm thinking that all four of those people are fairly solid. Pence, not really so sure about it. I don't think, I heard he's playing his role. He'll do what he's told. This is all part of it. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of disinformation. You guys think that the people I mentioned are solid? Because I think they're the ones that Trump's, plus the MyPillow guy. Apparently the MyPillow guy went there yesterday, and they caught his notes, and he was talking about doing martial law. Do you think Trump's got enough good people around him? Because I've heard that he's got a lot of deep swamp scoundrels around him as well. Is he going to be able to pull this off, in your view? David?
Oh, you're asking me? I thought you were asking
Jason. Both you guys,
yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, you go.
All right. Lynn Wood, yes. Patrick Byrne, on the fence with. He said some crazy things as of late, so I'm like, I understand the whole disinformation, but it's got to come to a point where we just got to just put it all out there. General Flynn, of course, solid 100, and Sidney Powell definitely solid 100. Pence, no way. I can't. From everything that I've learned and everything, especially living in Indiana and knowing what I know from that, no, I can't, and that's the thing. I mean, certain people, you have to, you'll get to a point where you have to educate yourself, and because they told us to, for us to, learn ourselves, don't take anybody else's word for it. So that's what we did. And, for Pence, I personally, in my own opinion, I'd have to say no. Am I saying it's gospel? Well, from what we have, it's all by your own interpretation and by your own judgment and what you've learned, because that's also a part of your free will as well. It's all about choices.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking, David? These guys scoundrels, or?
Well, it's really funny because the way that Trump has been playing this, And I understand that this truly is a 5D chess game. And they're putting out, they put out good intel, and they also put out some bad intel, rabbit trails.
Right.
They got to do that.
Right.
However, if you look at what's unfolded over the past year, we've discovered that the Department of the DOJ, the CIA, the FBI have lost all credibility. And it was done so in such a way that they exposed themselves. Okay, so once the American people lose faith in these institutions, in the CIA, that CIA has been questionable ever since its inception, and JFK wanted to take it apart, and we all know that. The CIA, of course, where's Gina Haspel now? Here we are in one of the most critical times in our country's history, and she's nowhere to be found.
Where's Gina?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe she's down in Guantanamo Bay.
You wonder. Where is she, right?
Okay, so the CIA has lost its credibility. The FBI, my gosh, what's their latest tactic? Yeah, they
lost the notes. They lost the emails for apparently two of these real high-profile cases. They've lost the notes for the first two interviews, apparently.
And they also put out a warning. They said that that there were going to be armed patriots showing up at the Capitol, the nation's capital, and all 50 state capitals. And so they're putting out the warning, So who do you think is going to show up there? Because all the patriots that I know, they're saying, hey, stay away. Get out of the way. Stay home. This is not time to hit the streets. So who's pushing to get patriots to hit the streets armed? It certainly isn't the patriots, and it's not Trump, and it's not his team. So it has to be an FBI attempt to create a situation. And that's not like they haven't done this in the past.
Oh, yeah.
They create problems, and then they go in there and they solve the problem, and they say, oh, see? They're sort of like self-legitimizes their existence by creating these problems. So the CIA reputation is in a crapper. Department of Justice, okay, well, they had to do something with that with Barr. Okay, so people were on the fence and say, okay, well, he turned out to be a bad guy, but then again, was he a bad guy? Was he just playing rope-a-dope? We don't know. The point is that we're, again, like we started off this broadcast by saying we're all on the edge of the seat along with the rest of the world trying to figure out what the hey is going on here because it's a revolving door, so we don't know who to trust at this point, okay? And I think that confusion is being done deliberately. What say you, Jason?
Yeah, there's a lot more players in this. I would actually stray away from the people and start looking at some of these forums, like the World Economic Forum.
Yep.
Lean towards the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yep.
Trilateral Commission.
Sure.
Some of these, and then you look at the people that are involved with them, and the positions that they hold. They hold some pretty high positions in governments all across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a whole collective effort on their part to completely dismantle America as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
But the criminality has been out there for a long time. Do you guys remember the London bombing? Or the tunnel bombing? Right, 7/7. Now, do you remember seeing the video of this guy? I forget his name now, but he was with the group that were running the training exercises, and he does the video and he goes, "It was amazing. Exactly what we were running the training exercises for happened later on that day. We were there to do training exercises, and what do you know? It all happened away just by coincidence.
It's just like a blueprint of what they did on September 11th. There were training exercises going on all over the country there. It's the same flipping deal.
It's the same MO.
Yep.
And I want to address something that I get a lot, and I want to have you get your guys' view on this. And I'll give you my view first. But people say, "Oh, QAnon's a psyop." Q has just what all Q has done is it's made people sit back and do nothing. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. That's like the exact opposite, in my view, of what Q has done. Yeah. Q has caused people that they say, well, it's a psyop. Okay, as I said before, if it is a psyop, the people running it are the biggest idiots on the planet because what they've done is they've put information out there about things that people never would have ever thought about. Like, for example, the term adrenochrome is in our lexicon now, and it's never been in our lexicon and been brought up, as I can remember.
And white hats.
White hats.
White hats.
Except for you talking
that was the
about it.
killer for me.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, when people say, well, QAnon's just putting people to sleep, I don't know. They must not know Q. I know it's not QAnon. I know there's a Q and there's Anons. I know that's not good to put that, not right to put that together. But my point, when people say Q is a false and Q is making people just put to sleep and it's a psyop, how can, when you have 10 million people looking into stuff that they never would have looked into before, how can that be putting people to sleep, Jason? I just don't get it. The logic doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not going to lie. That's probably one of the funniest questions I've been asked. Because anybody that knows me and wonders about QAnon putting people to sleep, I don't sleep now as it is. So
get that.
For some reason,
yeah, me too.
This whole QAnon thing, all it's done is it's actually opened up our thinking, opened up our logical, all the different thinking processes that we have, and it's made us like break free from the chains of indoctrination and get off the entire plantation, because we've all been slaves, and we're now finding our own and finding our tribes, and now we're just all collectively coming together, and that's what they're afraid of. That's why they're saying QAnon is a psyop, and saying that all the Anons, like we're the problem. We don't go out and spread any violence. We do everything right. We do everything peaceful. I mean, the only thing that, that's violent, maybe somebody might raise their voice, they might leave the caps lock on, it's something like that. Yeah, I mean, that's it, because we all know that it's all about peace, love, light, coming together as one. And that's all we're here for. We're here to help others, help others, pick them up when they're down and everything. If that's bad, if that's a psyop, well, I wish we had more psyops. Well, we definitely need quite a few more. So.
Well, the Q issue is really got to be hitting some nerves, because I've noticed that the mainstream press of the past couple of days has done some real hit jobs on Q. And they're saying the QAnon people are extremists, they're right-wingers, right-wing extremists, they're this, they're that, and the Q should be considered a terrorist organization. If you're not catching flack, you're not over the target. And,
right.
Then there's a lot of flack being shot from the mainstream press at those of us who consider the possibility that some of these Q posts might actually be real and might be accurate.
Well, some of the stuff I'm hearing, some of the chatter I'm hearing, and some of the things apparently that are supposed to be coming up, and like we stated before, folks, understand there's information out there, there's disinformation being put out there on purpose. So it's not likely that any of the three of us are going to be 100% right about anything, just because if we were, then the other side would be doing a really, really bad job. But I've heard that there's going to be a point, if you guys have heard this, where they have the technology to beam a signal right into everyone's television worldwide, and they can continue to play that. And that's one of the options they're going to have, is have people be inside their house because of potential for a breakdown. And when people are inside their house, they're going to beam that signal through on the television. So they're going to have a captive audience, and they're going to be looping, and just what I've heard, not admissions, but confessions from these people that have been caught on videotape confessing. Have you guys heard anything similar to that? Is that something that you guys have heard as well? That's kind of what I'm hearing. You guys may have heard that or more. David?
We've been hearing that for, weeks, maybe months at this point, that there have been people who have been arrested, detained, and what was it? Monkeyworks was tracking all these flights that were in and out of the states, up to Canada, down to the southern states, down to Guantanamo. There was also talk about rendition flights, where they get somebody, a person of interest, shall we say, fly them 12 miles off of the coast, so you're in international waters and law doesn't apply to you, and then basically say, okay, look, you tell us what you know, because if you don't, we're just going to carry on and go down to Guantanamo. And while we're on our way, maybe we'll do a few things to convince you that you should talk to us. And who knows, maybe they're doing waterboarding, or maybe they're doing whatever. Maybe they're just, exposing the blackmail that they may have been subjected to. I don't know. But this has been going on for a while, and we don't know how much, because this is this is a very clandestine situation that has been thrown upon the United States in order to get their country, for us to get our country back. What do you think, Jace?
I completely agree. And about the rendition flights as well. Monkey Works goes into great depth about the rendition flights, and I've learned a lot about those. And yeah, they're pretty scary if you're on the receiving end.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the CIA has never been our friends at all. Let's see. They started out with the Office of Strategic Services here at the Pentagon, and slowly just ended up becoming the CIA. In America. That wasn't the beginning of the CIA. The CIA began in Switzerland and 19,500 feet underwater in Lake Geneva. So it's actually kind of amusing when you think of the CIA and seeing that Germany and France are in on, especially now in 2010, when we just had the rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire just happened, and you had Germany, England, France, they all got into it, and now they brought it back. Now they brought back now they have the military arm to boot with it. So that's exactly who the RR is when they have it's a Roman Republic.
What do you guys see the next couple of days? I mean, the 25,000 troops roughly, and everything's fenced in there. I bet there's a 50-50 chance that Biden doesn't even do the inauguration at all. I mean, we were on this show last week, and we talked about my contact that said as soon as, and this has been, other people have said this is not going to happen this way. And hey, listen, Again, there's some disinformation out there, but apparently Biden's going to accept the inauguration. That's going to complete the crime. Then he's going to be apprehended. I think there's a 50-50 chance now that he doesn't even get inaugurated. What do you think, Jason? How do you think it's going to play out?
Oh, this is going to sound crazy. I understand that, but when you actually look at everything with the drops and everything we've learned, and how movies and cartoons, everything's been true in them. Let's take a trip down that rabbit hole and start questioning why they brought dogs into this. Like, you have all these high profile, like Romney and like, oh, my missing dog and my poor dog, And remember, it all started with the Dog Day of Summer with McCain getting the nice haircut right at the shoulders. And then you have to start wondering, like, why they have us wearing masks, right? Well, you have wear masks, you have to stay 6 feet away from everybody, and, everybody's miserable. Then you have to think about what we're using here. If we're using, portions of Tesla's, time machine, the whole, you call it a mystery machine of some sort, Dave. And then you have to ask yourself, well, what was Donald Trump's father's and brother's name? His brother's name, Fred, correct? Mm-hmm. Doesn't this have all the makings of quite possibly one of the greatest? And you take DS and mirror it, you end up with SD. Couldn't you liken this to Scooby-Doo? I'd hate to say. And what if Biden, quote, Biden is up there and he's getting ready to get sworn in.
Yeah.
And it just so happens to take his mask off to reveal who he really is.
Oh no.
Because they had a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger looking at himself, right? Now that's when you also think mirror, right? Well, you look like him, but are you really him? It's just like the whole the Vril and the reptilian, the whole concept there, because they look in appearance like that's them, but it's really not them.
Well, I got to jump in there because I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure a lot of people have. If you look at pictures of Joe Biden like 10, 20, 30 years ago, he has very light blue eyes. His eyes are blue. However, I noticed that when they had the debates, his eyes were almost black. And I don't know, if anybody notices this stuff, but it had me scratching my head, say, wait a second. How did his eyes go from blue to black? Well, maybe he's wearing contact lenses. Maybe he's got some sort of technology with these lenses that will allow him to see documents and read stuff while he's on the podium. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways that you could go with this. But the bottom line here is that, when I look at somebody's eyes and they're blue, and then you look at their eyes again and they're dark brown or black, you got to scratch your head a little bit. Is this the same guy? Is this a body double? Is this a clone? Is this some sort of a technology? Excuse me for thinking outside of the cage. But, I mean, this adds credence to the questions that you're raising here. Now, I don't know if I want to go all the way down to saying, okay, well, we've got, aliens and reptilians, and they're substituting people, and we got shapeshifters and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of people are going to be balking at those concepts. But, there are strange things going on. There are a lot of technologies that are available to the deep state that we're totally unaware of. And their technology's got to be at least 50 to 100 years ahead of what's available to the civilian population. I've known that for, a long time. So, at this point, we can't dismiss anything. We have to keep an open mind. And that's why it's so difficult right now to try to figure out what's going on, which direction this entire situation is going to take in the next few days. Because, like I said, anything can happen at this point. What an exciting time to be alive.
Well, let me pop this on the screen here. I want to get your guys' viewpoint on this. I'm not sure if you saw this. Boy, that sure is a coincidental time for that to happen to a Rothschild at 57 suffers a heart attack. And of course we're all human, and that can happen to any one of us at any time. One would think the Rothschilds, with all of their wealth, would be eating probably the finest organic food, probably have the finest medical services available. I mean, is that saying that they can't have a heart attack at 57? Sure. But generally speaking, for something like that to happen, when everything else is going on in this world right now, that just brings up a red flag for me. And again, could this be faked? Could this be who the heck knows? They don't consult me. Did you see that report, Jason? And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I just saw the report just now, but this takes us back to some of the Q drops, having to do with heart attacks being deadly. Heart attacks can be deadly. When they were talking about John Perry Barlow, because John Perry Barlow, he plays a really big role with the internet and with and he was also one of JFK Jr.'s best friends, and he knew how the music business was run, and he's also one of those people that he's just a genius. So when you take him and you take all these other geniuses that are supposedly traitors and committing treason under previous administrations' thought process, wouldn't that mean that they're on our, wouldn't that mean they're pro-Trump, that they're pro-America? Because if you have all the previous administrations saying that they're hated, well, we actually like these guys. Now, anybody that has a Rothschild, no, not going to go for that though. It's just, no.
Well, you spoke about something earlier, Jason, that I think was important. When you think of Rothschilds, I think of Council on Foreign Relations. I think of the Trilateral Commission. I think of, well, really, frankly, I think of the United Nations. All these globalist organizations that have been created, and there's a voluminous amount of them. I mean, some of these secret societies and these organizations go back hundreds of years, literally, and are still
some of them thousands.
Yeah, some of them. They are not formed and created to benefit folks like us, the regular, the cattle, if you will. They're not created. They may donate some land here or there, or throw a few $1 million in a bank account for a charitable organization from time to time. But ultimately speaking, these people are not. They're not out to help us in any way, shape, or form. I don't see it. David, what about you? What do you say?
Oh, of course not. I mean, you have to be a silly heart to think that they're what's the word I'm looking for? Benevolent organization.
Benevolent.
They're malevolent. They really are. They're malevolent. They don't have the best interest of the people in mind. I mean, it's laid out for us. I mean, we all seen the Georgia Guidestones. They want to have the population at no more than 500 billion. A 500 million. So what are they going to do with 7.2 billion people? They want to clear the decks. They want to cull the herd, if you will. And then what's left, they want to be able to tag and chip, just like so many cattle. I mean, this has been in their battle plans for decades and decades. And so, I mean, they want absolute, total, complete global control of everything, and that's their end game goal. And there's no denying it. They've basically spelled it out in many of their mission statements. So anybody that thinks that the Trilateral Commission, the CFR, the Council of 300, I mean, you want to go down the whole list, you think that they're out there for the benefit of humanity? Well, I get some waterfront property in South Dakota that you might be interested in.
Yeah, and they create all these organizations, and yeah. Well, we've got a call. We actually have a call that's. I think they've been waiting here for about 30 minutes.
Oh, we got callers. Oh yeah, give us the phone number.
Do you guys want to take some callers right now?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Always.
So let me give out the call-in line. If you're not on the video portion of the program and you cannot see the call-in number, let me give it to you here. Get a pen and a piece of paper ready. 515-602-9732. 515-602-9732. And what I did yesterday, Dave, we talked about this. I had this area code finder up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting these area codes in here and see if I can catch the cities. So let me put this in first.
We don't have a call screener here, so
no,
we don't. It can't be somebody say, hi, what's your name and where are you calling from? You're just going to go right on the hold. So when Jim goes to the phone lines and says, hey, caller, you're on the air, there's a bank of, 6? You got half a dozen calls on line there?
Yeah.
So nobody knows who you're talking to. So absolutely, you give out the area code, which will give you the city and state. So
I had this up here yesterday, but anyway, we'll work on it here. Let's take this first caller here. And we'll bring them on, and then we'll move on from there. So here, this caller's been holding for a long time. Okay, caller, you're live on the air, 678 area code. Thanks for calling in. Please state your first name and where you're calling from. Caller, go right ahead. You're on.
They might have put the phone down.
Caller, you've been on hold for like 30 minutes. Let me put you on back on hold again. And we'll come back to you in a minute because I know you've been waiting for a heck of a long time. So we'll put you back on hold and we'll come back in a minute. So let's pick up the next caller, 604 area code. And hopefully I'll have the name of these cities in a minute. Okay, you're live on the air.
Hello.
Please state your first name and where you're calling from. Hello.
My name is Andrew and I'm calling from Canada.
Hello, Andrew from Canada. Thanks for calling into to the show today. We appreciate it. How can we help?
Great show.
Thank you.
This question is for Jason here. I'm just wondering, do you anticipate any major event or drop happening either tomorrow or Monday or both? And mainly because of the significance of the number, tomorrow being the 17th, and on Monday being Martin Luther King Day. Where in the movie The Calling, there was a lot of footage of Martin Luther King's hotel that he stayed in. And since it's the 18th, which is on Monday, I'm just wondering if you anticipate, based on the numbers and the special day, that something might be revealed or drops.
Thanks, caller. Jason?
Thank you. And I can see something happening because, this could be the beginning of Boom Week. Because, with the 17th, with 117, we have, 117, then you have 118, and then 119 happens to be on National Popcorn Day. Figure.
And I
Can't
think
make that up.
I think the
That's
20th
funny.
is going to be National Eat Crow Day for a lot of people too.
Yeah, right.
And it's gonna definitely ruffle some feathers, Dave. If I might throw a little crow pun in there. And when you look at everything that's gonna happen like during this day, like you have the 17th, and it goes to what, the 23rd? Is it? I mean, it's 23rd. So Saturday is the 23rd, also known as Pain Day. So you have from the
What?
17th to 23rd.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
Pain Day?
Yeah.
23 is pain.
23 is pain.
23 is pain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you have that span right there, and what's right in the middle? The funauguration.
Well, when do you think Suicide Weekend's going to roll around? I thought it may have been this weekend because of
Oh God.
Trump dropping everything. I mean, Q said multiple times Suicide Weekend. I don't see there's many weekends left. You know what I mean?
Well, also, I mean, they said that Hollywood's pretty empty right now. So
Go repeat
not,
that. You broke up right when you said that, Jason. Go ahead. And
sorry about that. But yeah, they're saying that Hollywood's pretty empty as of late.
Hollywood?
'Cause, yeah, if you think about it, Suicide Weekend doesn't have to necessarily be, and now it's like, well, all these people are dead. Well, if they're taking them to Gitmo, I mean, they pretty much are giving them the, they're out there picking them up and saying, okay, here's your weekend, take your pick. And as of midnight, we're going to start 86 all of you.
Caller, did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I think Jason is bang on that there's going to be an unmasking, mainly because if you think about it, it's such a strategic move where you have hundreds of millions of people watching the inauguration. And what better way to wake up sleeping people?
Yeah, man. It's that all makes good sense. Caller, we so much appreciate you calling in. Thanks so much for liking the show, and call back in anytime. Okay, we're going to go back to our other caller here. Looks like that's from the Atlanta, Georgia area. So if you're from Atlanta, Georgia, here we go. Atlanta, you are on the line. Please state your first name. You're live on the air. Atlanta. Calling Atlanta.
I guess they put their phone down. They were on hold for such a long time.
Maybe they were. Maybe they were. A lot of great people in Atlanta. That's for sure.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'd be happy to
Oh, yeah.
talk to you when you call back. So our next call is going to come from Massachusetts. Let's take a Massachusetts call. Massachusetts, you're on the air. Please state your first name.
508.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I'm Massachusetts.
Hi, Massachusetts.
Oh, awesome. This is Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. Listen. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Land of the blue, unfortunately. So my question is for JQ. I have a bunch, but I'm going to try to keep it quick. After Pelosi's talk yesterday, where she pretty much was choking on her tears behind that stupid mask, didn't it sound to you a little like she was calling on perhaps a black hat military? Like, clearly she's scared. But I'm just wondering, because obviously the troops that are in D.C. are not there for most likely what the mainstream is telling us they're there for.
Correct.
So I wanted to see what JQ's thought was on that. And I know that I also heard rumors of her trying to talk to General Berger and him, but pretty much shutting her down and being like, no, we don't work for you. So just a thought on that. And then one more thing. Secretary Pompeo, a.k.a. Kansas, what do you think the relevance of the timing of his tweets are? Because it feels like we're about to have a child. I can't keep up with the 15-minute and 30-minute interval tweets. It's obviously happening for a reason, but I don't understand why.
I know the contractions
Thank you.
are getting closer together, aren't they?
I can't. We're about to birth baby freedom, and I'm like, the suspense is killing me.
Thanks, caller, for calling in. I appreciate that. Jason, over to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of funny when Pelosi was getting walked out of Congress. She was with some women in pantsuits. Well,
With badges on their belts.
yes,
Badges?
they had badges.
We don't need no stinking badges.
And if you notice, she had like 4 on one hand pointed down, and then 5 like an open hand pointed down. I think what she was calling for is a final assassination attempt on President Trump. Because 45 down.
Ooh.
See? So like she's throwing it down, like, 45, take him out, put him down. But that's not going to happen. You should have sent somebody a lot smarter than the town drunk.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
You sent Miss Martini Bar USA that if anybody has seen any State of the Union addresses, and if you notice at Pence, he would just have a glass of water, wouldn't even be touched. She would have a full-on Martini Bar. I mean, I'm surprised she didn't have a Cabana Boy. I'm really surprised. She probably pulled that in there.
When she passes on, she won't need to be embalmed. She'll be all set. She'll be good to go. All right, caller, thanks so much. We're going to try Atlanta one more time. We're going to go back to Atlanta for one more try to try to pull Atlanta in on this call here, and then we're going to move over to, I believe, Idaho after that. So let's try to bring Atlanta back on the air one more time. Atlanta, you're live on the air. Go ahead and give your first name and we know where you're calling from. You're calling from Atlanta. Atlanta, are you there?
Georgia. Georgia.
Break into it, Dave. Break it out, brother. Okay, so Atlanta, call back. Sorry about that.
All right.
We're going to move over now to, it looks like it's around the Boise City, Idaho area. Let's move over there and take this call. Caller, thanks so much for calling into the show. You're live on the air. Please state your first name.
Hi, my name's Julie.
Hey, Julie. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Julie.
I'm doing great. I don't really have a question. I just want to make comments.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you guys all for what you bring to the table just to kind of get people to think and to wake up. But I think the bigger picture is bigger than everybody thinks, and it's more on a spiritual level.
Oh, yeah.
To deal with consciousness. I don't know if you guys believe in walk-ins or twin flames, but I'm one of them. And I've come to walk into my body almost 15 years ago to meet up with my twin flame. We have a huge mission on this earth, and it has to do with healing mankind and Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember, what you think about and what you speak about is what you create.
That's right.
So if all people are in fear and fear and fear, they're creating all that darkness to come after them. If you are in total love and light, you cannot be touched.
She's spot on, you
know
that.
So just as Jason said, we all need to come together as one people. And it doesn't matter what color you are, where you come from. We are in the hardest place to be right now on this prison planet. And we all chose to come here to do this at this time right here, right now. And I don't exactly know what my full mission is going to be yet, but I can tell you, I mean, I've been getting downloads all the time, and I know I've come from, I don't know if you guys will believe me if you think I'm crazy, but I've come from the feline race. And I've chosen to come here to do this right here, right now. And all I can say is that the information you guys are giving out is great to wake people up, but don't dwell on it because that's not the biggest picture that there is right now.
No, you're
it all
right.
has to do with know thyself, you'll know God, you'll know your creator. You're just walking around in a meat suit to have this experience.
The meat suit.
You're more powerful than you know that you are.
You're talking on a whole different level.
I'm sorry?
I said you're talking about a whole different level. You're recognizing the fact that in this material life that we're living right now and the conflicts that we're experiencing, this is all sort of minutia. The important thing is, just like you said, we're moving from one age to another. We are experiencing a consciousness shift, a great awakening, if you will. And the most important thing that we learn is that the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. And fear is control. Right. And, you know, we've been taught in our culture to think that, he who dies with the most stuff wins. No, 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 no. This is why, our culture is constantly promoting materialism. The price is right. Oh boy, how much does this stuff cost? Did you win stuff? Oh, I'm winning stuff. Everybody's jumping up and down screaming they won stuff. It's not about what you end up with. It was like the last line in the Abbey Road album. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. You come into this world naked and you're going to leave the same way. And the only thing that you get to take is the impression that you've made and the love that you've shared with people. And I don't mean physical love or romantic love or sexual love. I'm just talking about having friends, bonding, heart to heart. Those are the important things. Those are the treasures that you get to have, in the next life. I mean, I don't know. Am I ranting? Am I crazy, Joey?
I think, let me go back here and bring her back on. I had her on hold.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. There, you're back on now.
No,
go right ahead. Go ahead.
I just trying to come in. I mean, I chose to come in here. I'm excited about being here. Even all the bad stuff that's going on, I choose not to go that route. Mm-hmm. I don't put that in my thoughts or anything. I know I have a bigger mission, and I don't know if anybody knows about twin flames. We come together as male and female, as one soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than just physical love. It is universal. I can't even describe stuff in words anymore. It's bigger than that.
Sometimes.
And I just wanted people to.
Go ahead.
I just wanted people to know that everything we're seeing, it's more than just a play. We're in this game, and we are the food or whatever you want to call it, because they want our high vibrational energy,
mm-hmm.
which they can't get because they can't get that or they can't create. We can. And I've just come in, and I'm getting downloads, and I'm like, my own tribe has been coming to me, talking to me. And I guess in preparation to physically meet up with my twin flame. And I keep finding out that it's more rare for the male and the feminine and divine feminine, divine masculine to meet in the physical. And apparently I've chosen this, and I'm going to do it. I don't care what happens, who tells me no. We're going to do it.
Caller,
and I guess I've heard with the twin flames, we're all supposed to gather and stand on all the ley lines across the whole earth to connect everything. I mean, I don't even know what my whole full mission is yet, but I'm being contacted by my tribe every day. And I'm just so excited and amazed, and I'm going to do it. I don't care what it takes, because this is why I've chosen to come here, right now.
Let me ask
you.
I just want people to know that it's bigger than this physical game we're playing.
I want to ask you a question.
Get us to wake up.
I'd like to ask you a question about the twin flame thing. I mean, a lot of times you meet your twin flame and you don't really recognize it at the time. There's just some sort of a connection, a bonding, if you will, a crossing of paths. And in some cases, one of the two parties might not recognize it, and I guess they label that as a runner. Are you familiar with that? And I'm just curious to find out, because, I've had that experience where on several times in my life where I cross paths with an individual, and there's a connection there. And for some reason, it's almost, I don't want to say it's profound or anything like that, but you can feel that there is something there. There's some energy there. And you might not necessarily come together right away. You mentioned that you came together with your twin flame. Did you feel that you were a twin flame with this partner before you came together? I mean, how long did that take?
Well, it's a deep question, but you cannot mistake in your twin flame, because you mirror each other. You are one soul, masculine and feminine. You are one of each other.
Right.
And it's like you're coming home. It's like you cannot deny it. I mean, you know that person. They are of you and you are of them.
Mm-hmm.
You marry each other, masculine and feminine. Now, if you come across somebody that they may seem familiar or something, it might be from your soul group, that you're come from the same soul group, and you come in here and you may cross paths and meet each other, but that's totally different from a twin flame. It's like you're meeting you.
Yeah, a reflection. Yep.
in the other side of you. If you're, you know, if the divine masculine is standing in front of the divine feminine, you know that is you are looking at, and you can't pull away from that one. Now they come from the runner and the chaser.
Mm-hmm.
That is true, but in my case, I haven't physically in my face met my twin flame. That's because me coming in, my mission is to meet him we have to merge first. Mind, body, spirit, soul first. Okay? After that happens, then you're set up divinely to meet him face to face. I have met him already on the physical plane. I mean, he has already bilocated himself to me in my own bedroom several times. I'm like, oh, who's this? And it's like somebody laying next to you. You can't physically see him, but I felt this person laying next to me. This person has spoken to me. I've heard him. So it's like they're setting us up for this merge. And then after the merge, we'll physically meet face-to-face here on this 3D. But that doesn't happen for everyone as a twin flame.
That's true.
It depends all on how much work you do on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
When you connect, like I walked into this body almost 15 years ago. I replaced the other soul because the other soul, we had a contract. This soul could not handle what was going on in her life. I would come in and take her place. Boom. So I wouldn't have to go through the birthing process. I came in at the age where he's already here on this earth. We connect. And I could tell you right when that soul left and I came in.
We're gonna move on here. We're gonna move on
Yeah.
from this caller.
This is pretty deep conversation here, and we could go on
this
this
topic,
subject
frankly.
for a while.
I don't even like even talking about this type of stuff on this show, me personally, but that's me. At any rate, let's take another caller.
Thanks for the call there, Julie. She opened up a can of worms there.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on the air. Go ahead and state your where you're calling from. I think you're on caller block. So go ahead and state your name, where you're calling from, please. Caller.
Currently, I'm in Ohio.
Okay, go ahead, Ohio.
So, long story short, number one, been a huge fan of the show.
Can you speak up? Can you speak in closer?
I'm willing to talk to you guys.
Can you get closer to the phone, sir?
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, you got to speak up. We can't hear you.
Hold on here. Let me try this. Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, it's better on my end.
Yeah,
Better
go
or
ahead.
worse? Better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, looking at, and we're looking at the picture here of, what's the final stand? What are we going to do? And, coming from, I'm retired from Tier 1 operations and, knowing a lot of some of the transitions that are about to, and obviously I don't have any information that I could tell you. And if I did, I would, but, some of what I've been, kind of feeling around and talking to guys, ex-teammates, I'm hearing that, there's been a lot behind the scenes and, obviously they can't tell me. And obviously I don't know major things, but I could tell you that, they said that it's been nonstop behind the scenes and, there's just this odd vibe, almost like electricity in the air that, something's about to rock off. What that means, the way I see it, I could foresee that, we're going to make a final attempt and that's going to be it. God knows I want Trump in. God knows I want him to stay, but sadly I have come to the realization I think we're beyond that, and I think by him dumping a lot of these files is his way of kind of giving us that final, okay, here's your decision. Now, I have been told by two other sources that I trust that there is a good chance that we may see one final hoorah here within the next 72 hours.
I haven't heard anything of that nature. Jason, have you heard anything like that?
I haven't heard anything like that, but there's one thing you have to remember too is that Trump's not going to lose. That I would definitely stay on Trump's side, trust the plan, remain loyal, because they're about to pull the rug out on the entire deep state, the entire big pharma, everyone's going down all at once, and we'll just be sitting here with a bowl of popcorn and just watching it all unfold. Because that's when we have to learn. Because we have to learn all of this. We have to learn to the point where this can never happen again, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're actually, when we do ascend, we have actually more power and more strength than anybody could realize. So I would definitely, I would not be going to sleep on Trump on this one, because him and the Q team and God don't lose either. So that's the only teams you have to choose from. It's good or evil, so.
Thanks, caller, for calling in. We appreciate that. We have another caller here from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is apparently supposed to be rumored. That's going to be the new capital of the new natural law United States. There is going to be in Philadelphia. Well, time will tell. Philadelphia, you are live on the air. Please state your first name.
Yes, Shane.
Hi, Shane.
And hi. I am so excited to speak with you guys. I'm 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia in Montgomery County, Abington. And if I can just give you a real quick background story with me. Back in March, when my children came home from school, I said to myself, this is not a snow day. There is something wrong. There is something not right. And that was the beginning of my mission and my research. And I have told them, with everything, I already kind of knew this, but I learned it even more, that we're all born with the 5 senses that we're taught about, but we're actually all born with 6 senses. And it's the 6th sense that really like came out in me. And I just said to myself, something is not right. Something is going on. And I swear to God, I've probably done like 3,000 hours of research. I have been researching and research. I'm driving my family, my kids crazy, but I've been talking with them as well. And I am just so excited for our future. My first question is, yes, because we are close to Philly, I've heard stuff that there's going to be big things going down in major cities, but the only one they named by name was Philadelphia. And being so close, it is a little concerning. I haven't heard what you just spoke about Philadelphia being the new capital or whatever, but that's really interesting. But my second question, and I tried to ask this question in a different group, and I kind of got an answer, but I was hoping to get a little more clarification. And that is that my older children, my 17-year-old son and my 16-year-old daughter, they're in trade school. My son is learning electricity, and my daughter wants to be a police officer. What a crazy, crazy time for someone to want to be a police officer, right? But it's a calling for her. And I know that from what I've learned, a lot of the jobs that we might have in the future revolve around humanitarian. I also know about Tesla. So my second question is, what can I do for my kids? How can I guide them so that they can be the best they can be in the future? I already told my son, maybe you want to learn the electricity part because there might have to be a transition period. So if you know both, you're that much more valuable and helpful. But I also told him, when you have downtime, start researching Tesla so that you're ahead of the game and you know it. As far as my daughter goes, are there still going to be police officers? Is it going to be a different kind of, job, different responsibilities, a different way of, interacting with the public and criminals who, I've heard that, it seems like we're moving into such a wonderful phase in our world with peace. But, evil, the main evil might be gone, but there's always going to be evil to some scale or another. So I'm just wondering about all that. And I don't know if you can tell in my voice just how excited I am to speak to you. I'm almost in tears.
Well,
Jason, you got a groupie out there.
If I can just answer real quick. I think it's never a bad idea, no matter as far as you're telling your children what to do or as they move forward. I think it's always important to gain interpersonal skills with other people, regardless of how much technology moves forward. And as we move into the next, whatever the next level is, technology is going to play a big part of it. But there's still always going to be that underlying necessity to have, personal communications with other folks. So I think anytime you can really highlight and enhance your interpersonal skills, your communication skills, the connections with other human beings, I think that's going to be a really good foundation to no matter whatever they decide to go into. That's the way I'm looking at it, fellas. You guys can certainly agree, disagree, or add to that, or call me crazy. Wouldn't be the first time.
I'm listening. Anybody else want to chime in?
No, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, well,
I'll pass it.
The thing about your children is they're going to go into something that they absolutely love to do. It's going to be a passion. They know deep down inside, within their heart and within their mind, of what they want to do. Police officer, of course, we look at the stigma that that the Democrats and others have put on them, and just the consensus in general that saying, oh, well, they're bad because of a couple bad apples. Well, they want to change that. It's all about changing the world for the better, and it's all about serving, protecting, serving their community, serving their people, serving God. And once they hit that level in servitude, like everything starts opening up. It's like a boomerang. When they talk about boomerang, they're gonna give out love and they're gonna receive it. And it's not even going to be like a job anymore. It's going to be, everybody's going to do their humanitarian. Everybody's going to become humanitarians pretty much, because we're all here to help our fellow man. No matter what they do or how they are, it's all about help. Serving others. It's not service to self. Service to self is the worst trait you could have right now. So if you're out there and helping others, and that's just how we are. We as a human, species, we've always been about helping one another, but they've planted these little traps along the way that have just sucked us right back into, putting ourselves on a pedestal. We don't belong on a pedestal. We all belong in the same group, along the same line as teammates. Even when they say followers on these social media websites, right there, they're even trying to push an ego. No, I don't have followers. We're all on the same team. We're teammates, family, but no, I don't want anybody following me. Everybody's right alongside of me. That's it.
As far as this advice for this young lady.
Well, they say that life begins at 40. And I think my own life experience, I think I've come to understand why it says that. In young adulthood, okay, we have all these different directions that we want to take, all these different opportunities that we could take advantage of. And sometimes as you make your way through life, you head in one direction, and then something else influences and you go in this direction, and then something else comes along. And in the process, you're carving your own way to your own personality. Now, my own personal experience, I always was, and I always will be a musician. I'm a musical spirit. And I pursued that as a career, and I was playing in bands and doing solo stuff and vocal studio work, et cetera, et cetera. And if somebody put a gun to my head and said, hey, Dave, you're going to become a national radio talk show host, and you're going to end up talking about politics and economics and medical issues. If somebody said that to me when I was like 36, 37 years old, I would have said, you're out of your mind. It's the last thing that I want to do. I wasn't into politics or any of that stuff. Well, lo and behold, an opportunity presented itself, and I became a talk show host at a little station in Waterbury, Connecticut, WATR AM 1320. And I became a talk show host. And little did I know that this thing was going to explode. And I ended up doing it, 10 years on the GCN network, and, creating a lot of problems for some nasty people. But seriously, I didn't know that was going to happen. So the point is that, you always want to keep the doors open You want to keep your mind open, because you never know what twists and turns that life is going to present to you, or what God's going to throw in your path. So right now, okay, well, I want to become a police officer, or I want to become a this, or I want to become with that. Always keep your mind open, because that can always change. So just do what you feel is going to be fulfilling. If it makes you happy, that's the important thing. It's not going to be work at all. It's going to be play.
Did that help? Did that answer your question, caller?
Yes, and the final thing is, if you can just touch on the Philadelphia thing.
When you say touch on the Philadelphia thing, if that's what you're referring to, what I stated earlier, that has been some of the reports that I've seen that has been put out by patriots, that their thought is that the city of Philadelphia is going to be the new capital of America, and I'm understanding that somewhere in Texas is going to be the head of the Treasury. The U.S. Treasury there in Texas, I forget where in Texas.
Abilene, again, I think.
Abilene, maybe. But again, there's a lot of information, a lot of disinformation. That may be a goal and a wish for them to do that. But I'm not saying they got a building set aside with rent, already, 6 months rent put down or anything yet. I just don't know about that. Have you guys heard anything as far as the Philadelphia being the capital of the new America, the non-corporate America?
Well, it definitely would be full circle. I mean,
yeah,
I'd embrace with open arms. That's where we're founded. That's where we'll finish. And it gets us away from the whole district and from the whole corporation. And you couldn't pick a better city than the city of brotherly love.
That's right. That. Right. David, have you heard that?
Yeah, I have. But again, like you just said, there's so much misinformation and disinformation right now. It's a very confusing time for everybody. It's sort of like you're standing up in a hammock with roller skates on, juggling chainsaws. So we just don't know which way this is going to go. So all I could just say is take a couple of deep breaths and just get ready for National Popcorn Day.
Yeah, let's hope. Huh? Okay, so we got another caller calling in from Vancouver, Washington, the great state of Washington, not very, very far away from us here in Montana. There's some crazy politics going on in Washington State, that's for sure. Oh God, yeah. Washington, thanks for joining us. Please state your first name. Washington, Vancouver.
This is Lewis Ewing in Washington.
Lewis,
Washington.
Hey, Lewis, thanks so much. How can we help?
Well, this show is about countdown to the final act. So you're talking about Trump or Biden taking over?
Well, when I wrote that title, I'm thinking the final act is something's going to have to happen here in, 4 days. So the final act will have to be played one way or another, unless they postpone the inauguration, which now I'm hearing that's possible they could do. Again, don't know, Lewis. Don't know. There's a lot of disinformation, a lot going around there. I wish they consulted me and called me in for meetings, but sadly they don't. So it's all speculation at this point.
I think most of it's disinformation. For folks who don't know who I am, I've advertised since 1989 that I don't file federal income tax returns. I don't pay federal income taxes. I don't pay Social Security taxes. I'm one of the very few people in the United States that's done that for more than 5 years that hasn't gone to prison. I've advertised openly and notoriously since December 8, 1996, that I drive with no license, no insurance, no seatbelt, and smoke pot while driving, and so can you. Most of you folks aren't aware of this because of my free Ultimate User Flyers, which first forced and caused the state of Oregon to legalize medical marijuana, then Washington, then Colorado, about 20-plus other states. The government is in a mad rush to catch up with me because I've got more than 30 state guns with an individual flyer with each state statute side by side with the federal statute showing you can lawfully possess marijuana without a medical marijuana authorization card. I've been a patriot, a constitutionalist for many years, and there's a difference between a real patriot who knows what the hell's going on, who's put his own ass on the line, versus bullshitter sovereign citizens who woke up yesterday who don't know jack shit about the
family
law.
Show, family show, Louis. Family show here. Okay, keep it clean.
Sorry. Yeah. Here's what I think. Okay, I haven't voted since I was 18. I'm still pissed at my stepfather for forcing me to vote because I knew instinctively back then that the voting was rigged, and I choose God to be my ruler. No man can rule over me. So, but I will say this about Trump. Trump is a lifetime businessman. He was doing great things for the economy. Joe Biden is a lifetime politician. He's a leech on society who's only gotten to public official spots to enrich himself, to enrich his family, screw over and rip off the public. He's a pedophile, so obviously, I prefer Trump to Biden, but all these conspiracy theorists, these sovereign citizens, like the goofy Anna von Reitz, okay, she loses all her cases. She has to hire attorneys to represent her because she doesn't know how to represent herself because she doesn't know the law well enough. Here's my opinion. I think possibly, I think Joe Biden's going to take over. I think Trump's going to push out and he's going to walk away, probably because he's been threatened. John F. Kennedy was shot. Why wouldn't they shoot him? The Secret Service isn't there to protect the president. The Secret Service is there with a gun to the back of all the president's head to make sure they keep their mouths shut. Here's my take on all of it. You can't get to that level of politics unless you're one of them. Okay, and you've seen the pictures with him with the Clintons, and even pictures of him with Jeff Epstein. Yes, he's probably never been to Jeff Epstein's island. I believe he grabs women by the whatever. That's what straight men do. I'd much prefer a straight man who grabs a woman by the you-know-what versus having Obama grab his husband by the you-know-what. Michael Obama, not Michelle Obama. We have transgenders and pedophiles running this country. We need to get them out. And who you guys really think out there, Bill Gates, a multi-billionaire, that he would not sick a virus on the world to avoid being prosecuted for being on Jeff Epstein's island? Bill Gates is a pedophile.
Did you have a question, Lewis? Did you have a question that you had? Did you have a question that you wanted to bring up?
Well, the question I'd like to bring up is, who do you guys think is going to take over, Biden or Trump, and why?
Great, Jason, go ahead and tackle that one. Thanks, Lewis, for your call.
Well, it's 110% Trump. And I could put the 110% because, that's what the Democrats like to use. They use the, anything over 100%. They like to cheat their whole way in. Number one, yeah, when you mention about, about Bill Gates and his whole, unleashing a virus on the people, number one, COVID, what do you think? First step. Second step, we have all this. And I advise people to do this, do your own research. There is plenty out there that could actually point you in the direction of the truth. As far as I see it, as when, saying that, President Trump is going to out and Biden is going to take over. I believe you lost all credibility with me by having that opinion because of the simple fact that there is not any shot that would even happen. You have the military that is, millions strong. They wouldn't let that happen. You have, being a constitutionalist, like you say you are, there is, it's a tyrannical government right now. So we actually have President Trump in here, and he is showing the American people and exposing this tyrannical government and letting us learn, the proper way and how we can all come together. And we don't have to, have a huge, shootout at the OK Corral, all within our own, within our own borders. We could actually beat them on the information and on, because knowledge is power. If instead of using violence, we could actually use our brains and we could actually, beat them once for all. That's what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Now, saying that, Biden is even, even saying that he had 1 million votes, that's cringeworthy. Because if anybody would have seen that he had 8-10 people at his rallies, that's it.
And they were probably paid to be there too.
Yeah. Then he comes up with 80 million. Come on. If you would have watched any of his previous, any of his previous Senate, when he was in Senate, any of his previous blow-ups in the Senate, and using the language that he did, I mean, it is just cringeworthy like no other. The words that he would just fire off about, derogatory words in terms about other races. Now, we've already calculated we have one race, it's a human race. That's it. Now, it's persons like him that give everybody else a bad name. It gives humanity a bad name. It's not a conspiracy theory if you actually go down and do your research, do your due diligence, and come to the understanding that, this whole government is tyrannical. We need to rise up and we need to defeat this. But we were fortunate enough to have a president like President Kennedy and President Trump to actually, be the placeholders in creating and, just having us learn and having it all exposed. And because they were so arrogant, they were so beyond arrogant that they would just, Hillary Clinton, for instance, she thought she was never going to lose. So do you think she should be in? And if you haven't voted, I mean, I understand our votes don't count, but it's kind of hard to actually have, any kind of credibility there when you didn't vote. I mean, that's one of our, that's one of the big things. I mean, if you didn't vote, then, I mean, it's hard to have a seat at the table.
Well, so in defense of the caller, I mean, when you become a registered voter, you're throwing yourself back into the system with the straw man, all capital letters, et cetera, and that opens up a whole can of worms as far as discussion is concerned. But I think the caller is asked some legitimate questions. As a matter of fact, for benefit of the caller, I've already been there. I have my own letter of apostille, okay, and I mean, I did this, 15, 20 years ago. I don't know if you could see that or not, but I went through the whole process of getting myself out of the system because the system is indeed corrupted. Now, as far as Trump is concerned, well, Jason already knows this. Jim, you already know this. 25 years ago, I was privy to a meeting of very high-level military and intel people. This is when I was with Joyce and the American Gulf War Veterans Association, and we were fighting tooth and nail against the Pentagon for what they had done to our troops and the civilian population, as explained in the beginning of this broadcast with the documents that we had. So, excuse me, when I went to this meeting, it was basically, like I said, high-level military and intel, and they were explaining that the bankers, the industrialists, and the organized crime families had come together at the beginning of the century and formed a pact that they wanted to take over the country. They pulled off their coup when they took out JFK. And it took them decades to get their ducks in a row to pull it off. So the point is that in this meeting, they were basically constitutional supporting military and intel people. Says, look, our country was taken from us. And it took them such a long time to set it up, and they got everything pulled off, and they succeeded. We have to take our country back. And it's not going to happen in a week or a month or a year. It's going to take us decades to get our ducks in a row. And we have to vet everyone who's going to be coming into the organization. We have to find the right people at the right time to do the right job. But we will not fail because we are in the light. We are the white hats. We're the good guys. And I didn't know what that meant back then. That was 25 years ago. It's only in the past couple of years that all of a sudden all this talk about the white hats and you know, this whole resistance against the deep state, the dark side, if you will. And so this is the significance of this. Now, I believe that this effort right now is the result of constitutional, patriotic, military people who understand exactly how we lost this country, how we lost it to the corporate Borg, and they are using the laws. They're using the real common law, the natural law, constitutional law, to take our country back. And they needed to have somebody who wasn't a part of the system. And that likely candidate, in my opinion, was Donald Trump. Because he showed that he was not part of the cabal when he threw everybody out of Mar-a-Lago back in 2005. He wouldn't cross certain lines. Yeah, he hung out with the Clintons, and he was rubbing elbows with all of the deep state monsters. But every person, as they climb up their ladder of success, eventually comes to a particular rung where you have to cross a moral line. And in my opinion, there was a line that was presented to Donald Trump that he would not cross. And I believe that line had to do with child pedophilia, sex trafficking, etc. And that's when he said no, and he threw them out of Mar-a-Lago. Shortly after that, Epstein was arrested. He got a 16-month slap on the wrist and went right back to it. And I think this is when the white hats saw, hey, this is the guy that we need. And that's my own opinion. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. But it seems to make sense to me.
Well, I can't tell the future. All I can tell is what's happened over the last 4 years. And as I've stated before on, I don't know if it was this show or last time, but the criminal empire has been in place for decades, generations. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 4 years, just by some coincidence, we're finding out about Weinstein, Epstein, finding out about Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein Island, what went on there, Wiener's laptop, you name it, Pizzagate, Hillary Clinton's, all this stuff has been brought out and once again into the lexicon. No one knew anything about it 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Now all of a sudden it's on everybody's. It's all over. I mean, these people are now getting arrested for the Nexium people. I mean that's I believe is going to come back into play again. Claire Bronfman, who's worth what, billions. She's been put behind bars. I mean, this stuff is never meant to come out. Was never meant to come out for the guys like us sitting here on YouTube talking about it. They never wanted that to happen. So to kind of sum up, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know if a few people probably do. All I can tell you is information has come out and the toothpaste has got out of the tube that can never be put back in again, ever. I don't care how much propaganda they put out, how many news stations they own. Certain things will never be forgotten by the folks, and that's just my view on things. David, did you want to follow up on that? I don't know.
No, that's okay. I saw the wheels turning in Jason's head over there. I think he had something he wanted to throw out.
Oh no! I was just in total agreement with everybody. I mean, we all have our opinions, and that's it. That's all we have. I mean, I respect everybody's opinion in this, and as long as we're all on the same side, is good. As long as we're, we're all on the side of light. That's what matters at the end of the day.
All right, we got callers that have called in here. Looks like we have here Tyler, Texas, the great state of Texas.
Texas. Oh, okay.
Tyler, Texas, thanks for joining us here on the broadcast. Please state your first name. You're live on the air. Tyler, you're up.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, this is Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
My question's for Jason Q, and it has to do with the Keys of Enoch. In regards to where Enoch saw China, Asia roll up like carpet, and the Middle East also. Do you think that's going to be soon due to everything and them talking about the rods of God or something like that?
Rod of God, the rod of God.
Yeah. And my other question's going to be, do you think our Christ consciousness will be connecting soon? I think you had spoken to Dr. Charnel earlier today about something about the 24th or the 26th and some kind of prediction there, but I didn't quite get that. So those are my questions.
Thanks, caller. Appreciate you calling in.
All right, thank you. And what the rods of God are, it's Project Odin, and what that is they have these massive rods that are hooked up to a satellite, and they have the firepower and the combustibility of being a nuclear weapon without any fallout, without anything. They use actually the weight and the speed of it, just naturally free falling onto these, not just free falling, but I mean, they lock on these targets. And when you look at the Project Odin, and Odin being Thor's father, when you look at, how that all lines up, you have Project Odin on a Wednesday, and then Operation Mjolnir, which is on a Thursday, and Operation Mjolnir was the actual when they went into the tunnels to save all the children, and that was on January 19th of 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when they went down there to get all the children and everything, and the rods of God, I would have to say one of them had to hit the Mothers of Darkness Castle in Belgium at Chateau d'Armois, and that's pretty much like the, that's like, that is the, I mean, that is the just heart of those, all of the witches and just pure evil. I mean, I can't even say they have a heart, but it's just,
it's a black heart.
It's the blackest heart out there. And that's where they get all these children from, for these upper families, for these higher families. That's where they're bred, and that's where they're created. Then, what was the other question by chance?
She wanted to know about the Christ consciousness. I think she talked about.
Christ consciousness. Yes.
You talked to somebody earlier. I guess you interviewed someone earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe about it?
Yeah. The Christ consciousness. What that is we are, our DNA is going to be all put back together, and when you look at it, they've told us that we have 97% of our DNA is junk DNA. They call it junk DNA, but it's really not. Once we're actually, once it's all put back together, and they're going to use radiant energy, which is actually the symbol Q and the subscript E. So it's actually Tesla teleportation. And what they've done is they've actually figured out how to create because we're biologically immortal entities. That's exactly what we are. And we have the documents to prove it. It's a very highly sensitive document. And that's where they came up with the Human Genome Project, because they wanted to create a human genome with all the markers, the genetic markers, so they didn't use adrenochrome. But they couldn't figure it out, because the markers that they needed were actually within the junk DNA. They pretty much, they crippled themselves. So when the Christ consciousness, when we all come together as one, that's going to be the whole Great Awakening. And once we actually understand that, we are our brother's keeper, we are one. We're one soul. We're one soul that is within a vehicle that is it's in a holodeck, a hologram that's responsive like a holodeck, and that we're having an experience. And once people realize that we're all part of the one soul, I mean the one source, that's God, then we pretty much effectively are Project Israel, because Project Israel was was God's children, and that's all of us, the ones that have the soul, the ones that have the ether. When they were talking about a previous caller mentioned about the sixth sense, and that's what it is. It's the ether. Mm-hmm. It's your spirit. So,
David, heavy stuff. You any comment on it? Dave?
I'm sorry.
No, that's right. You want anything to add to that?
Well, I suppose if you want to get esoteric, people say we are all one. Well, we are. The God consciousness, if you will. I mean, if God knows all and knows everything that ever was and ever will be, common sense tells me that the consciousness of every living being that ever lived and ever will live is all inclusive. So, I mean, this is why God knows everything that you do and everything that you think, because you're plugged in whether you like it or not, So yeah, I think we're all connected. Is right.
Well, we've only got about 10 minutes left, and things went by so fast. We've got 2 callers
God.
left here in the queue. So we'll pick up these 2 callers here, and probably there'll probably be time to end the show after that. I think this is Massachusetts. Massachusetts, you are on
my
the
old
line.
stomping grounds.
Please state your first name. You're live on the air.
Second caller. Sorry, I didn't get my second question answered. Sandra from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sandra.
JQ, what is going on with Pompeo's tweets? What do you think the intervals are for?
Didn't we? I thought we talked about anyway, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
And
You know
if I
what
missed
about
it, I'm
Pompei's
sorry.
tweets?
I had to help a black-pilled friend.
Oh, good luck with that. Well, the Pompei's tweets. Well, what happened was I was fired off Twitter, so I haven't seen Pompei's tweets at all. But if you want, I mean, ironclimber76@yahoo.com. If you want to contact me and if you have the tweets and all that, we can go over it and we can figure it out.
Right on. Okay.
Right after the show.
There you go, caller. Sorry, I put you on hold there, caller. I guess Jason had given you his email address. Did you get that?
Thank you. I actually missed it. Can you say it one more time? You
Go
broke
ahead,
up a little bit.
It's ironclimber76@yahoo.com.
Ironclimber76@yahoo.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, caller. Appreciate it, caller.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we've got one caller left here. 850. I believe that's Tallahassee, Florida. Let me double check for sure. It is indeed Tallahassee. Tallahassee, you are live on the air. Please state your first name.
Kira.
Cheryl?
Kira.
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 Hi, Kira. Thanks for
Yes.
calling in. Do you have a question for myself or Jason or Dave?
My question is for Jason. Actually, I have just one question. I needed to know if he has ever done a episode on any of his channels about the RH factor.
You mean the blood, the RH in the blood? You mean the is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I have the RH factor, and I've done a little bit of my own research, but I figured Jason might have more information, but maybe he's already done an episode. I'm kind of new to watching Jason, so I didn't want to make him go all through it again if there's already been somewhere I can go watch it.
As far as the RH factor in the blood, it's never like crossed my path in any of the research, because there's lots of other researchers, and that's the thing. I mean, for me, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm just a student. I mean, I'm always willing to learn. So if anybody knows anything about the RH factor in the blood, I know it's from one of the alpha draconian lines, but as far as that goes,
I've done
about it. I mean, it's hard to.
I've done one or
answer
two.
that, so.
I've done one or two show specials on that. If you go to Northwest Liberty News YouTube channel, and I don't know what's going to be under, but I did talk about that because I did some work here in Montana. There was a high percentage of Native American, the population that were missing. They were missing at way higher rates than the non-Native American, and we did some research and traced it back to the blood. So yeah, I don't remember what it's called. I forget your first name, caller, but I don't know what the name of the episode is called. But yeah, I've covered that at least once or twice on Northwest Liberty News about the RH factor and about the blood and about the importance of it. And I maybe even had a chart of the different blood types. And it's been a long time, did a lot of shows. And I'd say that immodestly, it's just so hard to remember. As you guys have done a lot of shows, can probably understand. Does that answer your question, caller?
Actually, I've heard that the RH factor has something to do with royal bloodlines, and that Trump has the RH factor as well.
That is one of the things out there, and of course you've heard that there's a whole group that thinks it's from an alien bloodline, and I don't. That's not really my. I don't kind of go in. I don't really know about that portion of it. All I know is for what I can, what I can see and what I can kind of produce results for. And I know that there was a tremendous amount of Native Americans that were being kidnapped off the reservations. There's a lot of reservations here in Montana. And we did some research and found out that because their blood is, they have a very, generally speaking, the Native American population, not everybody, but as a whole, has a rare blood type. I think 6% of the population. And again, I apologize as a while ago when I did that special, but if you go back and watch the video, you should be able to see that. But yeah, I have heard royal bloodlines. I've heard alien bloodlines. You know, not a phlebotomist or that kind, the guy that does that really is a living, but that's just you know, one of those things where it's just a data point that you pick up. So thanks for calling, caller. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in. If you recall, when we started the show, I was holding up several documents, and we referred to Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1520, in regard to experimenting on the civilian population. There was a point that I forgot to make that was the whole reason that I brought it up, and I just got ahead of myself with all the documents. We are looking at a global push for a vaccination. Okay, due to the health issues that we're dealing with here and all over the world. We all know, I don't even want to say it because it'll set off echelon. But the bottom line here is that a couple of weeks ago in Belfast, Ireland, a reporter basically told the world that they had to admit that they've never isolated the COVID-19 virus. Now, if they haven't isolated it, how can they have a test for it? And how, even more, the bigger question is, how can you develop a vaccine for something that you haven't been able to identify yet? Well, this adds more fuel to the fire in the controversy in regard to a global vaccination campaign. You couple that with that very important law, Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1520. They basically codified into law. They can experiment on you. And it's exactly what they're doing. There have been no tests, no trials, none, zero, zip, nada. And they're rolling this vaccine out, and they're shooting it in people's arms, not knowing what the heck is going on. And yes, there have been reported deaths. Yep. Yes, there have been many reports of Bell's palsy. Yes, there are many reports of convulsions. Paralysis. This is going on. So I'm just putting it out there, folks. Please open your mind. Turn off the networks. They are gaslighting and flat out lying to you.
Well, before we go here, we're going to wrap up here just a couple of minutes. Let's give out websites and places where people can find out more about you guys and the work that I do and that we do here together. Jason, go ahead. Let's start with you since you're sort of first on my list there on my screen.
You can go to my Facebook page. It's Jason Q. Janiszewski. My email is ironclimber76@yahoo.com. And if you want, just contact me through there, and we can go from there.
David?
Well, I just want to address all the fact checkers and people who set community standards out there, the gatekeepers of knowledge. I have a lyric for you that I wrote 25 years ago. We can't wait for you to start to be honest. We can't wait for you to start to be true. We can't wait for you to finally discover that the things you did can be done to you. We can't wait to see the table is turning, forcing you to see the things that you've done. We can't wait for you to face the music, understanding that there's no place to run. See the faces turn white as the people unite, and watch the roaches take flight when you turn on a light. You won't be trusted anymore.
Dave vonKleist. Great stuff. Appreciate you so much. DaveVonKleist.com, right? DaveVonKleist.com?
DaveVonKleist.com, and you can do a search. Just go to YouTube, search my name. All my music is out there. It's free for you to listen to. I have nothing to sell. This is not about self-promotion. I really suck at that. But it's not about selling anything. This is not about the kudos and the accolades and the praise and the recognition. I abhor all of that.
90 seconds.
There she is.
It's just about the truth and about sharing love, folks.
Folks, if you want to check out myself and all of the work I've done and the videos that I've produced and these videos here that you're going to see, go to northwestlibertynews.com. northwestlibertynews.com. Down at the very bottom of the page, there's a button for the YouTube channel. Also, these get uploaded to Rumble and Podbean, and also on Blog Talk Live, so you can find us in all those areas. northwestlibertynews.com on Facebook and
60
YouTube.
seconds.
As you can hear, we're out of time. So much appreciate the guests being here today. Thanks so much for looking in. Appreciate all the callers. And keep fighting, folks. Keep fighting. The end's coming near one way or another. Wherever it's happening, we know it's coming soon. Appreciate you looking in. Go ahead, folks. Anything you want to say something, Jason?
I want to thank you again, James, for having us all together, and I'm really enjoying myself. Thank you so much.
Good times. All right, for my co-hosts here, Jason and Dave, this is James White saying bye now. Bye.
10 seconds.
You're muted. Go ahead. You can talk now.
Hey, Jason, good job. He's muted. I can't hear him.
Hold on. Let me
Thank
unmute
you
him.
for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Let me unmute him here.
Oh, muted microphones.
There we go. All right. Let me dump off the Podbean podcast here, and then we'll be completely.
There you go.
Okay.
How's that?
Good job, Jason. Boy, you're so popular. They all want to talk to Jason.